Alright guys, welcome back. So let's start actually creating an Unreal Engine project and keep tracking with our repository here. So back here to the Unreal Game Launcher, let me go to the library and then launch the editor here. Okay, I'm going to do that with our Git. I have two of them. Let me see which one is the one. This one is the one that we originally had. And here, let me go ahead and put that into this. I think this one. That's the one, I believe. Okay, copy that. Or did I do it? I think that's the test one. I don't even remember. And let me check the timing. That's 23/8/23. That's 8/28. So that's the one. That's the original one. Let me copy that and put it in here as the project location. Actually, I need to go to games first, and then this location blank project will be fun, and no starter content. I'll call this guy Git project, something like that, and then create. Okay, and then hit OK. All right. Now, once this is added, you can see already that the GitHub is saying, hey, well, there's something new here, right? And before we do any changes, though, one thing we need to adjust here is that in the, let me close the editor actually. In the repository, you can see now we have created our Unreal Engine project. It's actually inside. I'd like to be actually outside of this folder, so let me cut everything out and put it in here because I actually want it to be in the root folder. I don't need it to be in a subfolder there. Let me delete that subfolder. Okay, so I'm basically moving everything Unreal Engine created as a project outside of that folder, so it's in the root directory of the repository, which is the one you have the git ignore and git attribute. Okay, now let me double click to open it again and see if everything is in there. Yeah, everything is okay. Now let me close that and also minimize that. You can see now again back here to the GitHub desktop, you can see now how it's listing out all the new things, right? We have this new .u project. We have default engine file in the config, right? And there's nothing in the content folder. That's why it's not tracking anything, because those are all empty folders. That's why it's not tracking anything. And then those derived cache data, the intermediate saved, guess what? They're ignored because the git ignore says so, right? To ignore all the saved, intermediate, and derived cache. And that's why those folders are not in this list, because they're not tracked. Anything you don't want to track, just add that file name specifically, or anything you need or anything that's of a particular extension, you just say star dot and then extension, right? That will work too. Okay. All right. So now you can see that the new things that's being tracked here, and what we can do here is just type in what's going on. I'm going to call this guy init project, and in the description I can say just created a fresh new UE4 or 5 project, and then I can click on this commit to man. What's happening now is that everything we did earlier are tracked as one of the history, and you can view the history here. Okay, the project is initialized with the default files there, right? Not much things really. All right, so all these changes, all these histories we have done here is still here locally. The online repository doesn't know about it. Okay, but before we actually update it to the remote server, it's always a good idea or good practice to go to the repository and you pull first. Okay, that will pull down any potential changes from the server. Right, when that's over, then you push it back to the origin, and that will push your changes to the origin. Okay, at this moment, the online version is updated. We can view it on GitHub, and you can see how now we have the Unreal Engine project and then all the configure files already in there. All right, beautiful. So when that being updated, then we can actually go try to pull it down from a different repository, right? So let me change my repository to the other one. This is another copy, right? Now here you can see this one is still empty. If you look at the history, there's nothing, right? Just the initial one. So what we can do then is we can actually say, let's pull the new changes from the server, and the GitHub desktop actually knows there's new changes. It's going to check that for you, right? So you just have to click on that pull origin to pull the new changes down. Okay, and now if you go back and check the history, you can see now we have that additional new history, which has the game engine game project created. Okay, now back here again, if you go to show the project or repository in Explorer, you can see now this one also has the files. So if we go back here and check, you can see now we have the original one that has the project, and you can see, take a look at the other one. Oh, not this one, this one. And you can see how it does have also those things. You can also see there's some differences between those two, and this is because again, there's some files that's just not tracked by the by Git, because they can all be recreated, right? If I double click to open the project, you can see how it does it recreated every missing file from this file, right? Including the content folder there too. So as you can see, you can open it, no problem. Okay, so basically now we have one repository created, we push it to the server, and we pull it down from the other repository, right? So that that's how we update between computers, basically. Just imagine that this one is from a different computer, right? Now, if you're an artist who is just jumping into the project, this is where you start, right? You just pull it down using the clone repository there and paste in the URL your programmer gave you, and you're already here. You're with the project on your computer, and you can just open it, right? That's where you start. Okay. All right, very nice. So let's talk about how we can actually start working, right? Let's say that you are the modeler, right? And you want to add some models to the scene, and potentially maybe a new level there, maybe. So first thing you need to do is actually create your own branch first. Okay, the current branch is the main branch. Remember that we wanted to work in parallel. We all have our own branch. So what you do is you go to the branch and you create a new branch. And you can say this is my modeling branch, or sometimes you use your name as your branch. Like you know, if you're the modeler, someone, right? Modeler 01, and then you say modeler 01. I'm going to do it as kind of like a task here. So the name will be like making blocking level here, and I can create that branch. Okay. At the moment, you have a branch here locally, right? But if you look at the GitHub version, you can see now the online version doesn't have your branch, because the branch is only local unless you publish that branch on the GitHub. So we can just publish here too. When you publish it, right, you can see now the branch is added into the repository here. Let me refresh it. Now we have the blocking level branch. You can switch the branch also here. You can see there's literally no different, because you just branched out. There's no different, right? But now you can see your current branch is on the blocking level, right? So you always, whenever you start a new task, you make a branch, okay? And when that branch is created, and then you can start making your level. So let me go for a new level here, a basic level, create, and then save it, and say new level or testing level, I guess. Right. Once that's done, then if you check the GitHub desktop, you can see how that oh, you know what? This is actually a different repository. Let me go back here to, oh yeah, this one is from the original branch. So I'm working on original repositories. I'm basically, this GitHub is actually on that new repository. That's right. So I shouldn't be doing that. Let me actually go back here to the new level, basic, and just delete that old one. I don't want that to be there yet. Okay. Let me close that. I'm gonna go make sure that I'm on the correct one, desktop version, which is this one. Let me open it. Let me also double check. You can also check the status of the project by doing a command prompt, cmd, right? Open that. And then you can check, hey, what branch am I in? Git status. To check the status, you can see you're on the blocking level. You can also do that with the console, and just like how you see it through the desktop version. So here, let me do that again. File, new level, basic, create, right? And then save it. I'll call this guy new level, testing level or something like that. And then save, right? A new level is added in. Now if we go back here to the repository, you can see now we have one change. It's saying, hey, you added in a new level, right? It's able to detect that. And then we can just give it a name for the new history or something we call a commit. And so this one is going to be added new level. A new level for blocking. And then you can say commit to blocking level. Okay. And that's when, again, you have one more history here, add a new level here, right? And then you can then publish, push it to origin here. Now, at the moment, right, you're all working on this. You're working on this blocking level. As long as you're working on your own branch, no one is touching it. It's fine. You just push it, right? Push to origin, and then you can keep on pushing it, keep on working on this branch. You can always pull that branch down from another repository. As long as it's your branch, you don't have to pull from others. It's just yours, right? All right. So now, once this is published in your history, let's say that you're working at home now and you need to go to school now, right? Then what you have to do then is that you go to school and then open the school computer, and you can basically open that one's repository, which is this one here, right? And you can see this one still have no doesn't have that new level history. And if you look at the project there, open the GitHub desktop. If you look at the content here, it should be empty there, and there should be no level. Let's check that. All right, so you can see this one has no level, right? But you know that there is an update on the server already. If you check the server, because it's already pushed, let me refresh it. You can see not only that we have the main branch, we also have the blocking level branch. If you go to that branch, you can see now, you can look at the content. You can see that testing level, right? That's what we pushed from the other repository. It's not on the other repository. It's also on the server. It's just not on this repository we're checking right now locally. So what we do, well, we just need to pull, right, from the remote. So what you do is go to branch, and then we can actually find the other branch here. Let's click on fetch origin first to fetch the new changes. Fetching means that we're basically only getting the new changes. We're not merging into the local one yet. Okay. Now, if you go to the current branch, you can see now there is another branch now, right? It's not locally here yet. We have to click on it to actually pull it down. Okay. Now you can see we're on this new blocking level branch. Because of the history, you can see now we have that add new level. So basically now we are indeed have the changes downloaded to here. If you go back to the Unreal Engine project, you can see already, without even reopening the project, you can see that level is in there, and that's the testing level, right? Cool. So this is how you are able to get the same thing you were working on earlier on a different computer, right? Okay. So now let's say that we are making some changes here. So I'm adding in a few cubes, maybe just 3 cubes, I guess. Save it. So now the testing level is updated. If you're back here, you can see now how it's updated. The updated will have a different icon, which is like a dot there. It's saying it's modified, right? So here, what you can do is you can say, okay, now added blocking. Okay, blocking the 3 buildings, something like that, in the middle. You want to be very specific here if you know what you're doing. Okay, and then you commit that And then again, this is only locally. So at the moment, only this particular project has the 3 cubes. Let me close it. I'll just check, right? If we go to the other project, we're on the Git demo there. So if I go to the Git demo desktop, this one shouldn't have it yet. Let me open it. As you can see, this one's testing level doesn't have it yet. Okay. So what we can do then is we go ahead and push that, and that will push the new changes we have done, right? The add blocking to the remote repository to GitHub. If you look at that now, you can see we have. You can also check the history here, I believe. Where do I see it? It's in here actually, added blocking here, right? So when that's done, then it's now currently on that previous project and also on GitHub. It's just not on our open project here yet. Okay, so let's again switch to the other Git repository here, right? And then you can see the history doesn't have the blocking. Then we can again fetch origin, or we can do repository pull. That would also work. Pull, which will pull down the something's wrong there. Let me try that again. Oh, that's because I have the project open, have the file open. It cannot be changed. Let me close the project before I do that. Pull that again. Yeah, now it's happy. You can see now we have this additional history there. And then if we go to the show the Explorer and open it again. And this time on this particular repository, you can see now we have the new update in the level 3 cubes, right? So again, that's how this thing, these 3 cubes are, or this map change actually went through GitHub and then got pulled down to a different repository here on this computer. So now all 3 things, right? The original repository, the repository on GitHub, and the one we're working on right now, a copy here, right? They're all having the same history now. And that's how you keep track of history here and there from different computers through push and pulling to the remote server. Okay. Pulling is actually just an immediate update, and fetching just fetching the new updates, and then you have to pull again to actually update it. So if you're sure you just need it to be updated, just pull it, right? If you're not sure, you can fetch. And then if you need to go to a new branch, you need to go to that current branch and go there. Okay. All right. So that's how you work when you have a single branch and you're not done with the project yet. You don't have to worry about pulling, merging at all from other branches. You just focus on doing yours, right? And then when your job is actually done, let me just add a few things here. So let's say that this job is done. Okay, let me save it. And then back here you can see now we have new updates. I'm going to say blocking done is done, right? Say blocking the buildings all done. Okay. And then we commit it. All right. And then we push to the origin. Right. So the branch is also updated to the origin. Now it's your choice to either ask someone from the remote repository to pull it to the main branch, or you can merge it here. You can also merge it here locally and push it. So if you're working with a small team, there's no actual manager or the owner of the project. Everyone can contribute. And the easiest for us to work with our senior thesis project. In that case, what you do is you go to the branch and you switch to the main branch here first. Okay. And then you go to branch and you merge into current branch. And then you pick your blocking level and then create a merge commit. What this does is updating the main branch, right, to be the same as your blocking level. Okay, that way your main branch is indeed updated. Okay, it is the same now if you look at the history, right? We have the blocking done also added in. So now the main branch is the same as your blocking level, and you can push the main branch. But before you push, if you're working on the main branch, right, there's a potential that other people have already also merged into main branch, right? So it's always a good practice and sometimes necessary to pull first. So you go to repository and pull down first, right? When that's over, then you push origin, and that's pushed over to the repository. That's when your main branch is also updated. That's the entire left span of a branch. So this is when the job is done, right? The blocking is done. Now, once your job is done, you can actually do another thing, which is to remove your current branch and go to the branches. You can actually delete a branch. Let's see how we can do that. Oh yeah, we have to switch to the blocking branch, I guess. Then branch and then delete. Okay. And then you also delete that branch from the remote server, which is GitHub, right? You do delete, and that will actually remove the branch from your history. Otherwise, you will have a million branches, and every branch keeps history. Your repository will be big, right? Make sure that you delete your branch when you're done, right? So basically, if I can reiterate the whole process, right? You pull the project down first, right? And then you start working on it with a new branch. You do all your steps 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it's this whole time on the remote server. If that's the remote server, you can also push that branch to the remote server, so you can always have that branch running up on the server and on other computers, right? You keep on working, going up and down through the server until when the job is done, you merge it back to your main branch, right? And then you pull from the server again. That's the remote server. You pull the remote server to your main branch also. So you got the most up-to-date one, and you push that back to the remote main. And then when you're done with that, delete your branches on both the server and local, and then that's one task over, right? And then you can start working on a new branch for a new task, and that's it. Okay, that's the fundamentals for an entire workflow to work on something, right? And hopefully that's not too confusing. If you're already wrapping your head around, it's normal. Like GitHub is not supposed to be, or Git is not supposed to be something simple, but it's also something that's super powerful if you know how to use it. All right, that's the fundamentals to work on it. If there's no confliction, then you're good, right? And oftentimes that's how it feels like, and you can move on to the new task now. In the next video, we're going to talk about a few particularly common problems we have to deal with when there's a confliction, and then when there's also a large file. We're going to talk about that. Okay, see you guys next time.